Just getting to our 10 minutes. We're reconvening our public portion of this meeting, public hearing. Ms. Kim, if you would like to adjourn us about any possible news. Thank you.
Yes. Ms. Turner's probation monitor, Amanda Cantrell, is available for conversation, as is her manager, John Brook. So what they have told me is that they've been through the file, and Amanda can speak to this in a little bit, is that there aren't any reference letters in the file, that what is in the file is an in-house, a letter referencing the modification of the psychotherapy term, along with that one quarterly report, and that's it. Amanda indicated she could scan that information, but when the petitioners submit their petition for any kind of reduction or to come before you, we encourage them to include whatever documentation they want to include in support of their request. And with respect to Ms. Turner, she submitted the form and in some employment history and a letter that was dated August 27th in 2019. And we got that information around April 20th of this year. So that's what we would have included, is anything that she provided to us, we would have included that. And then our cover memo to the board members will summarize all those working documents that are in the file that indicate compliance. So the quarterly report, check the box, yes, you did. Education, check the box. So, and rather than provide all of those documents to you, we summarize it to advise you whether there's compliance with the terms or not. So at this point, I don't know if you want to talk to have Amanda come on and speak about what she has observed in the file, or how you want to proceed from there. But there's not. Yes.
I see, Maddox.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you right, Kim, when she submitted her documentation for reinstatement, she had the opportunity to also submit whatever it is she was interested in saying to us, so that could be advanced to us for this hearing. Am I understanding that correct?
If you were cutting out a little bit, Jonathan, can you repeat your?
Yeah. So what I heard you say was, when she submitted her reinstatement document, she had the opportunity at that time to submit whatever she wanted us to take a look at in that packet, and that would have been advanced to us, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm understanding that she did not take advantage of that opportunity. And correct me if I'm wrong, she didn't take advantage of that opportunity. So I'm not sure how beneficial it would be to have someone else come in if she was encouraged to submit the documentation and did not.
That's correct. And then, to be fair to Ms. Turner, the quarterly reports, I think we were providing you previously, but then the process changed, and it probably changed at about that time she submitted her packet. But the purpose of those quarterly reports is more of an internal working document for us to review, and it more of a verify and check that, are you still employed? How many clients have you seen? If you have supervision as part of your probation, did you get supervision, and on what dates? Did you go to therapy, and on what dates? And then in turn, the treating therapist will send in a quarterly report verifying the dates that the individual attended therapy, and we match all of that up. And then there might be some notes as to progress within the therapeutic session about, these are the goals and we're making progress, and I've noticed this change and we're working on this component. That's what is included in that quarterly report. So
Ms. Turner, before I recognize the floor for you, just a procedural matter, I would like to move the meeting back under our administrative law judge, Mr. Wong, so that we can actually reopen the case, so Ms. Turner can also have her voice as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so the one thing I wanted to remind the board is we are not on the record. We have to be careful about talking about too much in terms of evidence that will later be considered. Ms. Turner, I think you wanted to respond.
Yes, I did. I actually retrieved an email that I sent to Amanda Contrell, my probation analyst, on September 3rd, 2019. Sorry, which had my petition packet with all of my letters. And I was under the impression in April when we reconvened and I was told that this meeting would happen, that all those documents she had and would be submitting.
I have one question. Do we have the ability to go into closed session real quick now? Or do we not have the mechanism to do that?
We can create a room, whoever's running the meeting, Steve or Kim, you can create a breakout room and assign the people who can go into that breakout room.
Okay, alternatively, could we lock the meeting and then unlock it and let everybody back in later? I would think we could
do that, but everybody has to log in and log out. It would be easier for us to just go into a private breakout room and then we just exit the room when we're ready.
Okay. And then, all right. Okay, let's see. How do we create a breakout room?
So it's really easy. Down at the bottom, you'll see 4 little squares or dots, and then you click breakout room, and then you're going to say one breakout room, and then it's going to say, who do you want to move into that breakout room? And you can click and drag people's names into it. And when you set go, then we can choose to click to go into the room.
Okay, hang on. So
on the bottom, do you see breakout room?
At the bottom of what?
Find it.
Of your screen, it's like with share screen, participants, record, or maybe it's at the top if you're using a tablet.
Advanced sharing. I see advanced sharing options. What are those? No?
No, it's not sharing. That's sharing your screen. It should be its own tab called breakout room.
We do not have that.
I don't see it.
That's really strange.
Okay, let's try lock. Let's try exiting, and I will lock the meeting.
Did Steve give you the host privileges?
No, she has host privileges. I'm not seeing that either. We don't have a breakout room function with our.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
You should.
There's a waiting.
There is reclaim host. I have a waiting room.
What kind of device are you using, Kim? A tablet, a laptop, or a phone?
It's a laptop, but it can be a tablet. And I think that's what we all have. Let's see more.
So
possibilities to go back into your portal, what the web portal, and to see if you have checked that breakout room function.
Ah, let me see.
So click over into the Zoom app and you'll log in again. It won't kick you out of this meeting.
Okay.
And then you can go into the different areas, and it would be under settings.
It's going to be settings, right? I'm looking.
Let me go in and see if I can help you navigate that.
Oh, yeah, you'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Using basic chat, private chat, auto sound, co-host pulling. Bear with us, Miss Turner. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I would encourage you to breathe. It's going to be okay. We'll get this figured out.
I'm worried, Christina, that it might have been set up when the setup of the meeting that can't be just added at the last minute.
Let me look.
Yeah.
I'm looking at settings. I didn't see anything in settings.
Or general.
Can we just log out? It's like, it just might be easier.
The hard part about doing that, the hard part about logging out.
If the host logs out, everybody has to leave.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. So Christina, you have the controls. We can make you host, and then you can lock the meeting, and the rest of us can leave. But the public people can leave, And then when you're ready to come back out, we can log back in.
So I'm gonna lock it. And
Yeah, as soon as, yeah. So we'll ask the public to leave for a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, and make sure, now I want to make sure, go to your security tab at the bottom. Do you see the lock? Do you see security?
Yes.
Okay, and do you see where you can lock the meeting?
Yes. Would you like to do that right now?
Right, so the rest
hang
of
on.
us can leave, the public can leave, and then as soon as you're just down to the board members, Sabina and the judge, then, you know, lock the meeting and then shoot me a text when they're ready, when we're ready to come back in open session.
Will everybody be in the waiting room so they know when we'll be let back in, or how are they going to know to log back in?
That's
I
what
would say just log back in and stay in the waiting room, right?
Yeah. What I was going to say is we need to designate a time to come back.
Right.
Let's do that. Let's do, what, 2 o'clock?
It's 1:40, just for the sake of safety, I would say 2 p.m. We're reopening the public session of this meeting.
You got it. Okay, I will be leaving.
Reporter, if we could go back on the record. And I see Mr. Arthur, I see you're on the line. And Ms. Turner, are you on the line?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for indulging us. What we're going to do at this time is what we'd like to do is continue the hearing so we could obtain the documents that you are referencing. But we're not going to continue it for another day. What we'll do is basically take a break from your hearing, hear our fourth matter, and then by the time we finish the fourth matter, we should have the documents you're referring to. Is that okay with you, that process?
Yeah. Thank you.
And Mr. Arthur, the documents should be forwarded to you as well. What I would ask, if you wouldn't mind, is after you get them, and it doesn't have to be right away, but if you would submit a copy to OAH through the secure filing, that would be greatly appreciated. I don't know if the board sends it directly to us now. I don't think it will go through the secure filing, and we need the documents for the secure filing. Oops, I think you're muted.
Can you hear me, Your Honor?
I can.
So I did literally maybe 2 minutes ago received an email with the documents.
Okay.
My legal secretary is actually off today.
Okay.
So she normally does the secure filings.
And that's okay if you do it within the next week or so, because I don't need it right this second. So if that's okay, does that work for you?
Absolutely, Your Honor. I'll have it done tomorrow.
Okay, thank you for accommodating that. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and adjourn for Ms. Turner's matter, and then we'll move into the next one. So we're off the record on Ms. Turner. So Ms. Turner, I would suggest, if you can, that you stay on the line, because we don't know how long the last matter will take. But if you would kindly mute your microphone and turn off your video during the fourth one, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, and Mr. Chairman, shall I just move directly into the fourth matter?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Okay, so the next matter will be, hang on, let me get this up, for Catherine Christensen. Ms. Christensen, are you on the line?
She's muted for some reason.
There, yeah, I've unmuted. There, I've unmuted.
Can you start her video?
It's
Yeah.
this video hasn't started. There we go, I think. Okay, there we go. Is that working?
Okay, I think we're going. Let me open up my file on this. And we're good. Great. All right. So, Madam Court Reporter, if we could go back on the record. We're on the record before the Board of Behavioral Sciences. Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for reinstatement by Catherine, spelled Catherine, Christensen, spelled Christensen. It's OAH number 2020-070-013. My name's Quorum Wong. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings. Mr. Arthur, may I take your appearance for the record, please?
Good afternoon, Philip Arthur from the Attorney General's office.
Good afternoon. And Ms. Christensen, if I could just have you state your name for the record to take your appearance.
Catherine Christensen.
Great. And Ms. Christensen, were you here earlier when the first matter was called and I discussed how procedurally these hearings proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any questions about the procedure?
No, I don't.
And do you have any additional documents you wanted to have admitted?
No, I don't.
Do you have any witnesses you wanted to call?
No, sir, I do not.
Very good. Thank you. So to establish quorum, I will ask that each board member answer audibly after I call his or her name. Chairman Disposti.
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Wong.
Here.
Ms. Anthony.
Here.
Dr. Brew.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Ehrlich.
Here.
Ms. Friedman.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Maddox.
Here again.
Okay, great. Mr. Ranasinger.
Here.
Mr. Sovic.
Here.
Ms. Struck.
Here.
And let the record reflect that we have a quorum present. So Mr. Arthur, if you would like to proceed with your summary and documentation.
Thank you. I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General in accordance with Government Code Section 11522. I am here to assist the panel in fact-finding. My role is not adversarial, but I am here to protect the public interest and to ensure that the board has adequate information from which to make a decision. In this case, Ms. Christensen became a licensed marriage and family therapist on March 15th, 1988. Between 1991 and 1999, her license expired several times due to non-payment of fees. However, the license was always renewed until it expired on February 28th of 1999. On August 30th, 2000, an accusation was filed against Ms. Christensen's license, and on February 15th, 2001, Ms. Christensen's license was revoked under a default decision on the accusation. Ms. Christensen now seeks reinstatement of her revoked license. And so marked as the exhibits, the first one is for Exhibit 1, consists of the petition, and it also includes various documents, which are a letter of reference from Dr. Raymond Fidelio, spelled F-I-D-A-L-E-O, verification that Ms. Christensen was hospitalized at Sharp Mesa Vista Hospital from November 25th, 2007 through July 11th, 2018 as an inpatient and outpatient. A certificate demonstrating Ms. Christensen became a Stephan minister on April 8, 2018. A certificate of completion dated January 31st of 2014. A handwritten list of Ms. Christensen's criminal offenses listing 9 separate criminal cases from 1977 through 2009, including crimes for driving without a license, possession of methamphetamine, and forgery. There's a typed list of Ms. Christensen's criminal offenses listing 10 separate criminal cases from 1977 through 2009. Ms. Christensen's declaration in support of expungement of misdemeanor convictions. And then there are some orders of dismissal. There's an order granting dismissal of Ms. Christensen's conviction for violating Health and Safety Code, Section 11377, Subdivision A, which is unlawful possession of a controlled substance, and reducing to a misdemeanor her convictions for violating Penal Code Sections 470, Subdivision D for forgery, and Section 368, Subdivision D, a person who is a caretaker committing either theft, embezzlement, fraud, or forgery with respect to an elder or dependent. There's an order of dismissal for Ms. Christensen's conviction for violating Penal Code Section 337 Subdivision, or I'm sorry, 337A Subdivision.
What do you guys need? Sorry.
It's a,
No, I apologize. Sorry.
oh, okay. Am I going into too much detail with the criminal offenses?
We just had not moved their mind. They were having an ancillary conversation.
I'm sorry, it's not clear. Steve, is everything okay?
Yeah, no, sorry. That was mic on. Sorry.
Okay, there was just an interference. Thank you.
Okay. So for Penal Code Section 337A Subdivision 1 is illegal bookmaking for bets. There's an order granting dismissal of Ms. Christensen's conviction for violating Penal Code Section 602 Subdivision F, maliciously tearing down, damaging, mutilating, or destroying any sign, signboard, or notice placed upon or affixed to any property. An order granting dismissal of Ms. Christensen's conviction for violating Penal Code Section 484, Subdivision A, theft. It includes Ms. Christensen's petition for dismissal of her conviction for violating Vehicle Code Section 23152, Subdivision A, driving under the influence. There's an order granting dismissal of Ms. Christensen's conviction for violating Vehicle Code Section 12500, Subdivision A, driving without a license, and Penal Code Section 415, Subdivision 1, disturbing the peace. There's an order granting dismissal of Ms. Christensen's conviction for violating Vehicle Code Section 14601.1, Subdivision A, driving when privilege suspended or revoked. That's all of Exhibit 1. Exhibit 2 consists of the notice of today's hearing, and Exhibit 3 consists of Ms. Christensen's license history certification. I move to submit Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 into evidence.
Sorry, I was muted. Those exhibits will be marked as indicated by Mr. Arthur. Mr. Arthur, one question on Exhibit 1. Pages 4 through 9 look like they may be medical documents. Do they need to be sealed under HIPAA?
They should be redacted, Your Honor. Yeah. Yes, even, Your Honor, even though they are redacted, I think it would be best if they could be sealed under HIPAA.
Sure, that's what I will do. So first, Ms. Christensen, do you have any objection to Exhibits 1 through 4 being admitted, or excuse me, 1 through 3 being admitted for all purposes?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
And do you have any objections to my sealing pages 4 through 9 of Exhibit 1?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, and so I will go ahead and seal that. So what I'll do is I'll prepare, we have a written sealing order that I'll prepare at a later date, and then you'll get a copy in the mail. So when you receive it, it's just something for your records, and there's nothing you need to do in response to that. Okay? Let me flip back to my screen. All right, Ms. Christensen, I'll go ahead and swear you in at this time. If I could have you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you may put your hand down and you may provide your testimony. The one thing I would ask that you keep in mind is that we do have a court reporter taking down your testimony. And so if you would try to keep the speed of your testimony at the slower end so she can make sure she gets down all your testimony, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so.
First, I'd like to start out by stating that I never got into any legal problems when I was not using alcohol or drugs. There's a correlation between these things. And I first came into treatment from recovery from substance use disorder back in 1978. And I stayed sober after that for 20 years. I achieved my master's in rehab counseling. I married, but I married into a relationship that was riddled with domestic violence. I had 2 children. I got my PhD in clinical psychology. I was a active member of Alcoholics Anonymous and involved with 12-step programs, both professionally and personally. I finally was able to get out of the marriage that I was in. I had 2 kids. They were, that was an 8-year relationship. And I took my kids and got away from domestic violence, which took a lot of courage. The treatment program I'd been working for many years in San Diego had closed down, so I had gone into private practice, and I had met my next future husband. He was a psychiatrist. We combined our practices, and we were living a very happy life in San Diego. And within 6 months, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and died. And at this time, after 20 years of sobriety, the way I managed to handle that was to begin drinking and using drugs again. I just wanted to escape from everything, and that was my the one way I knew that I thought I could do that. That resulted in 10 years off and on of drinking and using and coming in and out of treatment centers. I lost my children. I had given up my practice when he died. I was never practicing while I was drinking and using. I had given up practicing. So it took me about 10 years. I ended up in treatment a number of times, mostly driven by the legal problems. I saw that as a way out of the legal problems. And I never stayed sober more than a couple of years during that time. Finally, in 2009, I found my way into recovery again. I was under the care of the psychiatrist whose letter you have on file there, Dr. Raymond Fidelio. He had been treating me for some time for depression. I finally found sobriety again. And I had remarried a man who, within a very short period of time, was diagnosed with dementia. And so I was taking care of him for the next 8 years. I had a very strained relationship with my kids. I was not looking at going back as a marriage and family therapist or a therapist. I didn't think I could even possibly do that with my history. So I didn't pursue it. Dr. Fidelio continued working with me. He's a very patient man. I had talk therapy with him. I had ECTs with him. It was a very tumultuous time. And finally, after about 8 years of that, I had to put my husband in a memory care facility. And I started realizing that I had not found space for myself for quite a long time. And I was actively involved in AA all throughout this time. I worked with a sponsor very closely. And in 2018, I was still being treated for depression and anxiety. One of the things that I had discovered was that when I came into the field of into treatment in 1978, there was a big division between treating mental health issues and treating addiction. And addiction at that time didn't really make allowances for mental health. If you had issues, it was because of your addiction. And I had an underlying disorder that had never been addressed. In 2018, for the first time, I revealed to my psychiatrist that I had been severely sexually abused between the ages of 7 to 12 and fed alcohol to deal with the feelings that came up around that at that age. And that was where my addiction started, but it was also where the depression came from. And I went into inpatient care. At that time, I was in crisis with this. Went into inpatient care for 9 days and was diagnosed also with bipolar disorder and started on appropriate medication. Since that time, things have really stabilized for me. In 2014, I completed peer employment training with RI International here in San Diego. I didn't go to work, but I did complete the training. In 2018, I completed the training to be a Stephen Minister, which was counseling for individuals in crisis, supportive counseling. And I've been working as a Stephen Minister since 2018. My husband remains in memory care. And I have a continuing issue dealing with my kids. We're trying to rebuild our relationship. It's very rocky and very difficult, but I'm very committed to it. I've been sober for 11 years. I work a strong AA program. In January, I went to work for RI International as a peer support specialist. It combines, as I'm sure you're aware, it combines lived experience with the work that we do. And I've found that my own lived experience is very helpful in the work of a peer support specialist. At Dr. Fidelio's encouragement, I have applied for reinstatement of my MFT license. I hope to get that. I'm not sure it's going to change the direction of my work at this point. With RI, I came on as a peer support specialist. In June, I was promoted to the role of recovery educator. So my job now is in educating peer support specialists. And I'm really loving that a lot. But I did love doing therapy at one time. And if there's an opportunity, I would really appreciate being able to get into that work again. I remain in treatment with Dr. Fidelio. I remain on medication. I continue with involvement with AA, going to a couple of meetings a week. I've secretaried meetings. I work closely with my sponsor. I work the steps continuously. One of the things that assisted me so much was understanding the issues of powerlessness in my life. As a child, I had absolutely no power, and I was abused at the hands of a very patriarchal person in the family. And I've had to work through those issues. So I feel that I have a certain stability now, and I'm very grateful for you all listening to me and for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arthur, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Christensen.
Hello.
Why do you want your license reinstated, seeing as it's been revoked for 19 years?
Because returning to work as a therapist is a part of my recovery. It's a goal. It's a means of being productive. It's a means of satisfying myself in many ways, and it's really a recognition of my achievement in recovery in many ways.
What is your sobriety date?
February 28th, 2009.
In your petition packet, there's mention of the fact that you have bipolar disorder.
Yes, sir.
How do you treat your bipolar disorder?
I start with medication. I stay in therapy with Dr. Fidelio every couple of weeks. I monitor the symptoms. I utilize support in social interactions. My sponsor is very aware of bipolar, and I've had to educate her somewhat as to the symptoms. She gives me feedback about that.
In your statement, I believe you referenced the fact that you are you're working currently. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Can you describe for the board where you work and the nature of your work?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I work for a company called Recovery Innovations International, and RI International is devoted to the concept of peer support specialists, lived experience combined with mental health issues, combined with the recovery process. It's becoming a force in the field of mental health, I believe. I'm very committed to the role of peer support specialists because we bring the element of lived experience to recovery, and it's very recovery focused.
Is that a full-time job?
Yes, sir, it is now. Yes.
What have you learned since the revocation of your license that will assist you in not repeating the conduct described in your various criminal convictions?
I have learned not to run away. My alcohol and drug use has always been a means of running away ever since I was 7 years old. And specifically running away from difficult feelings. So I've learned to deal with reality and what's happening in my life.
What assurances can you offer to the board that the similar misconduct to what's listed in the criminal convictions would not be repeated now?
I can only say that the priority is recovery from addiction and recovery from bipolar disorder, maintenance and recovery from bipolar disorder. If either of those get off base, it's a problem. I'm very committed to not drinking and using again. It's wreaked havoc in my life. My association with it is all negative. There's really no positive that I have in my head about it at this point.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Christensen, do you have anything else you would like to say on your behalf?
No, sir, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. I will turn it over to the board for questions. First, Ms. Strack, do you have any questions?
Sure. Just want to thank you for being here. And as we say before all the cases, we know it's tough to come in a public audience and be vulnerable with us. So we appreciate that. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit more about your support system for preventing a relapse.
Sure. Well, my two primary support systems are one, AA involvement, which is twice. I go to 2 meetings a week. I meet with my sponsor about once a month. We talk more frequently than that. Dr. Fidelio is a big support in my recovery. He monitors things for me that sometimes I can't see. My work at this point is a big part in my recovery. I'm really enjoying being back at work. That's primarily the three things of my support system.
Okay, thank you. That's the only question I have for right now.
Mr. Sovek, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Ranashinger, any questions? Oops. Do we have Mr. Ranashinger on the line? Do you have any questions?
Hello, Ms. Christensen. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Ms. Christensen, I wanted to tell you first, it's nice to meet a fellow peer support specialist.
Ah.
Yeah. Over here in Imperial Valley, we could not survive without our peer specialist. So that's a very special position. I have a couple questions. The first is, you are pretty well acquainted with your recovery. If your license is reinstated and there comes a time when you need to take a step back from your practice, is that something you're comfortable with?
Absolutely. That's absolutely something I'm comfortable with, and I tend to trust a lot of times others' feedback in areas like that more than my own opinion. So.
Okay. And you're comfortable getting feedback from other practitioners?
Yes, I am. Absolutely.
Cool. The other question I have is, it's actually Dr. Christensen, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Christensen, as a practitioner, you're going to be endowed with a significant amount of authority. Is that a trigger? And if it is, how do you cope with it? And if it's not, don't worry about it.
No, sir, I don't believe that the power differential is a trigger for me. I really enjoyed dealing with that issue as a peer support specialist, because the attitude of a peer support specialist is to be with the person receiving services rather than that power differential. And I pretty much adopted that in my work.
Cool. Well, like I said, it's always good to meet another peer specialist. I read through your packet, and I was just amazed, and it was really amazing. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Maddox, any questions?
Hi, Ms. Christensen. How are you?
Okay, thank you, sir.
I just want to start by saying thank you so much for coming here today. I just want to say how thoroughly I am impressed with the journey that you have been on. We really can't dictate the cards that we're dealt in life, but really what we can do is sort of ensure that we take responsibility for the choices that we make as it relates to how those cards impact our lives. And I just want to say, your journey is a humbling story. And I think it is one that makes sense that you would be an outstanding peer specialist, which I will say is the backbone of the mental health field. So many of us are academically trained, but may not have had the life experiences that allow us to take clients through a journey of recovery and restoration. And I just want to say how impressed I am with sort of your resilience, with your tenacity, with your willingness to continue to strive toward having a life worth living, which is really the foundation for wellness and recovery. And so I just want to say it is an honor to have you present today. I think your story is one that needs to be heard by many people. And so I'm just glad to just hear your story, and I'm honored to have been a part of this today. I do have one or two questions. So if the board were to decide to grant you reinstatement, my question is, would you be willing to submit yourselves to board oversight with stipulations? And the reason why I say that is you've really been out of the field, at least as a therapist, for well over close to 20 years. And so there are lots of things that have changed. So would you be willing to submit to board oversight?
Absolutely, sir. And that's one of the elements of Dr. Fidelio's letter recommendation. He's offering to supervise my work. I would want to stay in supervision.
Okay, so it sounds like you'd be willing to, whatever the stipulations are, you'd be willing to submit to those as a part of your continued journey toward reclaiming your license.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then I just have one last question. I think there was a question earlier about triggers, and so I'm wondering, sort of, have you identified, do you know what potential triggers are for you, considering you've had such a substantial mental health history and relationship with alcohol? I mean, are you aware of any triggers that might potentially move you back in the other direction?
one of my triggers is my family. So I'm very careful about my relationship. I'm not talking my children, I'm talking my family of origin. Those relationships are very strong triggers for me, and I get a lot of feedback from my sponsor, who's also an Al-Anon sponsor for me.
Okay.
Family's the main one, and the power in my family has always been a difficult thing to deal with.
Okay. And also in that answer, what I heard you say was you built in some accountability with someone who could sort of help keep you balanced and sort of aware of when those triggers sort of arise, sort of, you know, how to keep yourself balanced and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, you know, I like sandwiches, so I'm going to wrap this up with some more praise. Once again, I want to thank you for coming today. I appreciate hearing your journey. I want to encourage you to continue on it because in your story is freedom and deliverance for other people. And I just must add, I don't think your doctor could have written a more stellar recommendation for you to show how much you've grown under his care. So congratulations, and I am glad you came today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Mr. Jones, any questions?
Yes, I do have one. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate your testimony. Piggybacking off of what Mr. Maddox asked initially, as you've been out of active practice for close to 20 years, how do you feel, or let me ask it this way, what steps are you going to take in order to kind of get up to speed with how therapeutic practices are done today with regards to, I mean, I know that you're doing a lot of work currently, but with regards to the current, you know, rules and regulations, record keeping, all of those sorts of things, how are you going to get up to speed as you get back into practice?
Well, I think with the appropriate supervision, mainly through Dr. Fidelio, that's where I would go with that immediately.
Do you feel that you are at a point where if your license was reinstated and there was oversight from the board and from your supervision that you have the tools necessary to hang your shingle and start today?
I believe I do. It's different than the role I have with RI, which is dealing with peer support specialists, training peer support specialists. And that role is very different than the role of a therapist. So one of the things that I've been doing in the process of working for RI is identifying the different roles between a therapist and a peer support specialist. And that has not only caused me to understand what a peer support specialist does better, it has helped me understand what a marriage and family therapist does better, because I've had the two to compare with each other.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Friedman, any questions?
Yes, I have one. Thank you so much. Your journey has been amazing, and the way you've related it has been extraordinary. The work that you're doing right now is very meaningful. I mean, I think we all agree that working with peers is some of the most meaningful work that's going on today. I'm just wondering how your daily life would change if you were to get your license back.
Immediately, it probably would not. I like my job with RI. It's a full-time job, and it's a chance to really use my education, which I'm appreciating. At some point, I would want to begin working a part-time private practice. So that's how I would look to fit it into my life, is maybe 5 clients, as well as the job I'm working.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
All right, Mr. Ehrlich, any questions?
No questions, but I just would like to reiterate what Board Member Maddox said. I really think that your story is one that should be told and shared. I'm very impressed with your journey. In my line of work, I oftentimes have clients and see people who are in the criminal justice system who suffer from mental health issues and don't take the steps, steps that you've taken to get to where you are now. So it's very commendable and, very impressed with that. So thank you for coming here and sharing today.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown, any questions?
I too would just like to thank you for coming today, and I'd like to thank Susan for that question. I think that was a really good question, and it lets the board know that you're not trying to get this license and then just dive right back into something you did 20 years ago, but to take it one day at a time and ease back into, and with supervision, back into what you used to do. So I'm very glad you asked that question, Susan, and I really appreciate your answer. So thank you. Did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Brew, any questions?
Yeah, Dr. Christensen, I also wanted to say how much I appreciate your candor and your resilience. I just had one question, and I'm going to ask you, how long do you think you've been healthier, right? Like healthy is maybe a relative destination, but I know you've been sober for 11 years, but that doesn't mean you were healthier. So how long would you say you're healthier, including your sobriety as well as your mental health being under control?
I will say that my symptoms subsided when I dealt with the child sexual abuse that I experienced. So that would have been in 2018.
Okay. So really things have shifted for you in the last 2 years.
They've completely shifted. I don't even believe that I feel so good.
Oh, that's nice to hear. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Anthony, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I'm just, I'm echoing everybody's thankfulness to you. I'm like taken back by your story. I'm not usually emotional, but I am. And I just want to tell you, like, one, what an honor it is to have you here in front of us. And two, like, your journey is such an inspiration and it's such a story of redemption. And just like, you're a courageous person, and I'm so grateful, like, and honored to meet somebody like you. And I wanted to tell you some things that stand out to me about you are your humility. And just like throughout your whole journey, every time something happened, you just continued to kind of push forward. And even through those dark moments, you still have a way of waking up every day and pushing through. And lived experience is something that nobody can ever take away from you. And you've probably heard me say it all day long today. But I'm just honored to be here with you. And I thank you for your ability to share so candidly with us. And just thank you.
Thank you so much.
Vice Chairwoman Wong.
Hi, Dr. Christensen, thank you so much for coming. And I love working with my peer support specialists. They are very special to me because of their lived experience. And sometimes, what the peer support specialist brought to the table, it's way better than what the therapist could say. So I think you definitely, have the, right calling and the right job, and, to use your talent and your knowledge and experience, in that position. I just want to, I'm thinking about, your previous, life. It seems like, your professional life, when you hold your license, it seems like it's so far away, because I think you got licensed back in like 1988, right? Is that accurate?
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious, what were your, did you ever hold like a full-time job as a therapist before your license got revoked?
Did. I started out working in addiction treatment centers. I worked for Sharp Healthcare here in San Diego, and I was outpatient. I was a therapist for many years in inpatient programs for individuals with addiction. I started with what was called the CART program in San Diego. It was really the first addiction program out west that looked at co-occurring disorders. So we were working with a lot of issues, and I was a therapist there. I got promoted to outpatient coordinator, and we built the first outpatient program in San Diego for co-occurring disorders also. That program got closed down because it wasn't making enough money and moved. At that time, I left and went into full-time private practice. So I had my own office here in San Diego for a few years.
So it looks like your heart really is working with the co-occurring disorder patients. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Back in the 80s, and the 90s, it's definitely a pioneer, sort of direction, trying to deal with both disorders at the same time. So I'm so glad that you were part of it. So now you did also talk about, that Dr. Fidelio, his willingness to supervise you, if if the board grants you the license back. So now it's a kind of like a assumption, now it feels to me that you put a lot of hope that, he would be able to remain your supervisor, and bring you up to speed and, teach you, get you up to date about all these different, current trend, so now in case he's not going to be allowed, to be your supervisor, what would you do in order to get yourself up to the more current trend, which is more like telehealth now. We do counseling on the, on Zoom or on the phone. So what would you do?
I think I would go through the board and try and find someone else.
Okay. So do you think that you're able to establish a relationship just as good as like Dr. Fidelio?
I don't know. He's given me an awful lot of hope.
Yes, he does. That's why I'm asking you, because I think this is so important.
He supervises the CBT and DBT programs at Sharp Mesa Vista.
Yeah.
So he's very active in supervision with a lot of MFTs, which is one of the reasons I tend to stick with him. I trust him a lot. But if you wouldn't grant him permission to supervise me, I would have to find someone else.
And you feel comfortable with it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I think that willingness, is really what I'm trying to gauge, because, when you're out of the field for so long, there's just a lot have changed. And so, how you catch up, and, I think that is really, definitely for one of our consideration. So thank you so much for your information.
Thank you.
No more question, Your Honor.
Thank you. Chairman Disposti, any questions?
No question for Dr. Christensen. I'm just joining the sentiment of the rest of the board. So congratulations for being here today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, I believe I've gone through all the board members, so I'll bring it back around in case there's been any other questions that's popped into anyone's mind in the meantime. Any other questions from members of the board? All right, hearing none. Mr. Arthur, do you wish to give a closing?
No, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Christensen, your closing.
I just want to thank everyone. It's been a long day and you've been very patient with me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So that concludes this petition hearing, and we can go off the record. So Dr. Christensen, as you may have heard me say at the end of the prior petition hearings, the board will deliberate in closed session and discuss your petition shortly. So you won't get a hearing, or excuse me, you won't get a decision today, but rather you'll receive a decision through the mail at a later date. And then, of course, if we were in person, then the court reporter would be preparing a form right now, and she would provide you a copy when she had completed it. But since we're not in person, my office will forward a copy to you. Given the hour, it'll probably be tomorrow. And that's just in case you want a copy of today's transcript. And then also, as I previously mentioned, I'll issue the protective order and you'll receive that as well. The two forms probably will come separately. And with that, do you have any questions?
Is there any time frame as far as when there's a decision to be made at all?
Generally, I am not sure what the board's deadlines are. Mr. Chairman, is that something you would know?
The decision will be made today, this afternoon in closed session, and then I know there will be time for the decision to be written and sent to you. So maybe Kim can answer that part of the proceeding.
Usually about 30 days.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so if that's it, that concludes your matter, and you're free to disconnect. And I will turn it back to Chairman Disposti, and I think we may be going back to Ms. Turner, but Chairman Disposti, if you want to advise on that.
Thank you, Your Honor. As normal proceeding, we usually take a break between two cases, and the good news that we do have the material for Petitioner Turner that's been uploaded. So what I would like to do, perhaps give us a total of 15 minutes as a break so that you can take care of yourself and also being able to read the documentations that have been uploaded on our server. So we can reconvey. It's 2:54 now, and we can reconvey about, oh my gosh, my math now, at 3:10, I believe. And so we can all be back at 3:10 p.m. this afternoon.
Max?
Yes.
I have a question. I'm on Box right now, and where would I be looking to find those new documents? I don't see them.
So if you refresh, perhaps that could be a problem, but if you refresh, it will, it shows on mine, so it should be on yours too.
It shows on mine too. It's under Turner, but it's a separate new file. It's not one of the three existing files. It just loaded on mine just now.
What is it titled?
You'll see the date of today. So if you actually log out and log back in, you might be able to see it. It's right there on
Turner. It has like a little camera icon. Yeah. It just says Turner on it.
Yeah. Oh, mine looks like a folder, I think, that says Turner.
Like a folder with the world.
Instead of a PDF.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. So we're reconvening at 3:10 this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming back. It's 3:13. We're going to the public sections of the Board of Behavioral Science for our petitioners. I will move to our judge, Mr. Wong, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And so we're back on Ms. Turner's matter. And so Madam Court Reporter, if we could go back on the record in the Jessica Turner matter, Brianna Turner matter. And let me make sure we have Mr. Arthur, are you on the line?
I am, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Turner, are you on the line as well?
I am, thanks.
All right, great, thank you. So let's, I can't remember if I said, let's go ahead and go back on the record. If I did not, let's go ahead and go back on the record. So Mr. Arthur, did you receive the documents? I think you mentioned you did, but I wanted to confirm you received them.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and if you would just kindly describe them so we can go ahead and have them marked?
Okay, Your Honor. So the first one, and I'm sorry, but I'll just summarize them in the order that they were sent to me.
Okay.
The first exhibit, which I believe will be marked as Exhibit 5, if I'm correct.
Yes.
It consists of reference letters.
Okay.
All
right. So we'll mark those.
And there are three reference letters.
Okay, we'll mark those collectively as Exhibit 5. All right. And what else do we have?
And then Exhibit 6 consists of an April 24th, 2019 letter to Ms. Turner from the board. And it discusses discussing a proposed therapist.
Okay.
It also includes an April 18th, 2019 memo, which is from the board recommending a reduction in therapy for Ms. Turner to once a month.
Okay.
And then there is an April 2nd, 2019 quarterly report. And that is it.
Okay. Okay, and that was it? That was forwarded?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and let's see here. So those documents will be marked collectively as 7. Mr. Arthur, do you have any objection to 5 for all purposes?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Turner, do you have any objection to 5 for all purposes?
No.
And Mr. Arthur, do you have any objection to 6 for all purposes?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Turner, any objection to 6 for all purposes?
No.
And 6 is also admitted for all purposes. And so what I'll do is after I get copies of these documents tomorrow, Mr. Arthur, from you, I'll issue a protective order. I believe something within 6 at least needs to be sealed. But I'll look at both 5 and 6. And then, Mr. Arthur, is there anything in those letters that you would object to being sealed?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Turner, is there anything you would object to about those being sealed?
No.
Okay. So I'll issue a separate sealing order after I get the documents and review them. Okay. So let's do this. So Ms. Turner, I'll remind you that you're still under oath.
Okay.
And so Mr. Arthur, did you have any questions you would like to ask Ms. Turner based on the documents?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And so I'll turn it to the board to see if there's any questions about the documents, starting with Chairman Disposity.
Your Honor?
Oh, go ahead.
Can I ask a question? I mean, since I was actually engaging with her when this all started and then that sort of gotten hijacked, would it be okay if I actually am allowed to just pick up where I was? Since some other people had been allowed to finish their questions.
Sure. And so if I skip anyone, just let me know. But Mr. Maddox, if you'd like to pick up where you were, please do.
Thank you. So, Ms. Turner, once again, I want to say thank you for your patience. This was sort of an extraordinary circumstance, and I do apologize that it happened. So thank you for your patience with us. And I want to add, I do see why you wanted those documents added to your record, because they are overwhelmingly very positive, and speaking to your progress in treatment and speaking to your care and sensitivity as a clinician. So I just want to say thank you for advocating for yourself and ensuring that those were added to the record. And with that said, I don't have any questions, but thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Okay. Chairman Disposity, do you have any questions?
Oh, I actually don't, but thank you so much. And thank you, Ms. Turner, for your patience as well.
Vice Chairwoman Wong, do you have any questions?
No, no question. And I just want to apologize for the kind of like emotional turmoil that, this process had brought you through. Not intentional. Sometimes, when we have, work remotely, things does happen. And so I just want to make sure that, we're not holding anything against you. And I concur with Mr. Maddox that, I'm very glad, to, receive those letters and read the comments, the progress that you made. So thank you very much. And again, congratulations for the wonderful personal growth that you have had.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Anthony, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Dr. Brew, any questions?
No questions. I echo what everyone else says. I'm glad we got to see them. Thank you.
Ms. Brown, any questions?
No.
Mr. Ehrlich?
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Friedman?
No questions.
Mr. Jones?
No questions.
Mr. Ranshinger?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Sovic?
No questions.
And Ms. Strack?
No questions.
Okay, I believe I've covered everyone, but just in case there's some questions that popped up in the meantime, any further questions from the board? So hearing none, we'll move to closing arguments. Mr. Arthur, do you wish to give a closing?
He's not on the video.
Oop. So we lost, did we lose him?
I'm looking for him.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't see him. I think he got dropped off.
Just right now, because it was here like a 30 seconds.
I know, he was just here. Okay.
Okay, so if we could wait a couple minutes to have him rejoin.
Turner, this isn't normal. We're sorry. It's not funny, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, he should be able to get in.
Is there a waiting room that he needs to be let in through? Okay.
No, I turned all of that off.
No, there's no waiting room. He should be able to come right in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I hope his internet didn't die.
Unless he's having some signal issues.
I've had my internet go out for 15 minutes inexplicably. There we go.
There he is.
There he is.
Do we have him back?
Yes, connecting the audio.
Okay.
I think his connection is having some issues.
Looks like the phone died or the computer battery died.
Okay. Your Honor, if you...
Okay. So Mr. Arthur, do we have you back on the line?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I have no idea what happened. I'm now on my phone, but I'm back.
Okay, not a problem. I think the only thing that you missed was when I asked if you wish to make a closing.
I'm sorry. I do not have a closing. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Turner, do you wish to give a closing argument?
No, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to hear me out and to consider my situation. I do apologize for becoming emotional, but this is something, this date I've been waiting for a very long time. And I did really want everybody to see those letters because they also mean a lot to me and have meant a lot to my process as well.
All right, thank you. So that concludes the hearing on your petition, and we are off the record. So Ms. Turner, what you may have heard me say at the end of other hearings, the board will adjourn in a moment to close session to consider your petition. So you won't get a decision today. Rather, you'll get a decision at a later date through the mail. And then also, if we were here in person, the court reporter would be filling out a form, and when she was done doing that, she would give you a copy. But since we're not in person, my office will send you a copy of that form, and that's just in case you want a copy of the transcript. It has the information you would need to go about ordering a copy of the transcript. The other thing you will receive from my office is a copy of the written sealing order, and that will just be for your records. And those two documents may come separately. Do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. You may disconnect now. Madam Court Reporter, if I could get a page estimate for this and also for the prior one, I forgot to ask.
For Brianna Turner is 70 pages.
Thank
and
you.
Catherine Christensen is 30 pages.
Great, thank you. So I will turn the matter back over to Chairman Disposi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, everyone. We're now going in closed session. Before we do that, just as a reminder that due to technological limitations, adjournments will not be broadcasted. So after the closed sessions, that will be the end of the session for the Board of Behavioral Science for today. So we're going closed sessions to for the discussion and to take action on disciplinary matters, including the above petitions. So if we can, Steve, if we can go in closed sessions and allow us to have that space.
Actually, at this time, I would like all the people who are not part of closed session to leave the meeting. And once they leave the meeting, I will lock it.
Okay.
And Christina, you got the host up and everything? Okay, good.
All right. All right. Bye.